2020 has undoubtedly been a jarring experience when it comes to cinema. Theaters have been shut down, movies have been delayed, digital distribution has gone up, and the overall future of how films will be released is uncertain. Because of this, there's this sentiment of, how can they have the Oscars this year? No movies have been released. This is kind of a shame because there have been tons of fantastic movies I've seen this year. Despite big blockbusters being delayed, this year has brought some of the most insightful and impactful viewing experiences I've had in a while. So, here's a list of my favorites of the year. Combined, I've seen over 250 feature films, shorts, and limited series. Before we start, I do want to clarify one thing. If you look a few of these movies up, they might be listed as being released in 2019. Some movies get released in other countries before I can view them, so I include them in the year list as soon as I am capable of viewing them. As a general rule, I want to give films a chance to appear on positive lists, even if they are released in the US a little later. With that being said, let's talk about some truly spectacular films. Number 10. The Vast of Night. Being a clear homage to older sci-fi drama mysteries like The Twilight Zone, The Vast of Night is able to be atmospheric and creepy without ever becoming too ambitious for its own good. It tells the story of a few high school students running a local radio station and discovering a mysterious noise. As the frequency continues, they encounter some people who may help clarify what this noise may be, and the secrets that surround it. The film builds up major tension with a variety of long takes. The dialogue, powerful performances, and attention to detail with the sound design come together to make some tense scenes. It always knows what to show and what to leave out. Also, for a directorial debut, Andrew Patterson showcases some pretty spectacular shots with elaborate movement that become even more powerful and memorable as they're juxtaposed to the more subdued and slow-paced radio scenes. The film never forgets that it is an enjoyable throwback as well. It would have been easy to try to make this a hard-hitting, no-nonsense thriller that gets a little too full of itself, but this film never forgets what it is and becomes all the more enjoyable and haunting because of it. Number 9. Beasts Clawing at Straws. Every year you get quite a few movies that are well made and effective, but not exactly ones you would want to see again. On the other hand, you get films like Beasts Clawing at Straws, which are an absolute blast to watch from beginning to end. This is a South Korean crime, drama, thriller, comedy. It's honestly kind of hard to define at times. It tells the story of a hotel receptionist who looks into a locker that has been abandoned for a few days and happens to contain tons of money inside of it. How did the bag get there? Where did the money come from? What happens after the receptionist finds this money? The film tells the stories of several different characters and the interactions they've had with this money. There are constant twists, betrayals, death, and violence being showcased here. This movie is full of characters who range from everyday people to absolute psychopaths terrorizing each other for this cash, and it is simultaneously gripping and hilarious. The characters in this are all memorable, the dialogue is clever, and you'll find yourself at the edge of your seat because anyone can die at any moment. It is a bonkers, dramatic, and unpredictable thrill ride that I can't wait to see again. Number 8. Father, Soldier, Son. Following the life of a single military father and his two sons for a decade, this documentary is able to show an intimate portrait of this family's life in a truly powerful manner. You get to see this likable family go through immense trials and mix-ups in their lives because of the father's military service. You see the sacrifices these people make for those around them and the people they love. As the years pass, you see the toll these trials have taken on them and how they've changed, both for the better and the worse. The filmmakers were able to give amazing commentary on war, fatherhood, family, pain, loss, and patriotism. without ever seeming overly preachy. This is also one of the most beautifully shot documentaries of the year, with some amazingly poignant scenes that have stuck with me for months to come. When many documentaries tend to feel shallow and kind of throwaway, it makes it all the more impressive when you get a documentary that is as understated and insightful as this one. Number 7. Boys State. This documentary tells the pretty remarkable story of a unique summer camp. So you get 1,000 young men, put them in Texas, and have them create their own government, complete with different factions and elections. This all comes together to create a pretty fantastic setup, and this film takes full advantage of that. The people the filmmakers chose to follow throughout this are genuinely some of the most engaging personalities you'll see anywhere, fiction or non-fiction. There's constant debates, subtle interaction, dives into people's backstories, and thought-provoking commentary on the world these young men want to create, and how our own world has informed that. Nobody in this feels like a caricature. Even the small clips they show of kids who aren't even focused on feel incredibly raw and interesting. The discussions being had here is just as entertaining as they are important. I remembered my experiences going to camp in my late teens, and this movie truly captures it in a big way. It is challenging, uncomfortable, awkward, freeing, and creates memories and relationships that these kids wouldn't trade for the world. I love this documentary, and I can't wait to watch it again. Number 6. Don't F with Cats. An unconventional title for an absolutely insane true story. This limited docuseries follows the story of a man who posts videos of himself killing cats online. People naturally get very, very upset and try to track him down. I don't dare to spoil the rest, but the lengths both the researchers and this killer go to are more wild than anything you can script. This story has so many twists and turns and just absolute madness that you just get more and more hooked the longer it lasts. I will also say that for a series that was over 3 hours long, this is also one of the most tightly edited works I've seen in a while. No scene feels wasted, no detail is overlooked, and this series has this stunning sense of momentum that never lets up. I was on the edge of my seat constantly through this, somehow making me laugh and feeling genuinely nervous at the same time. Number 5. Weathering with You. Coming off the success of another animated film, Your Name, Japanese director Makoto Shinkai creates another animated feature that, once again, absolutely dazzled me. The film follows a teenage runaway who moves to Tokyo and meets a girl who is able to control the weather. The young man picks up odd jobs, meets new people, falls in love, and discovers there might be something more to this girl's powers. At the face of it, the setup may seem a little cliched, but this movie has a remarkable ability to make some theoretically played out scenes feel really genuine and important. I found myself connecting with all of the characters here. They all had flaws and likable quirks to keep them interesting, and the banter between them was enjoyable as well. The animation and score for this movie are something truly spectacular, creating an atmosphere and experience that I won't forget anytime soon. I can quibble with some clunky dialogue here and there and some 2D and 3D animation that aren't perfectly integrated with each other, but all of those problems seem minuscule when you have a movie like this that creates such strong emotions and memorable experiences that almost make you feel like a kid again. I loved Your Name, and I love this one as well. Check it out as soon as you can. Number 4. Rewind. Some great documentaries are able to tell real-life stories in a way that can impact the audience, but Rewind manages to craft a tale that impacts those who made it every bit as much as the viewers. Director Sasha Neulinger uses home video footage to explain and analyze the childhood abuse he suffered. He interviews family members, therapists, and delves into the trauma he has experienced. The amount of personal detail that's put in this film is staggering. The director is reliving his rough childhood and clearly working through it right in front of our eyes. The documentary lets us really get to know the people present in these circumstances, and it helps shed light on perpetuated abuse and flaws in our legal system. By the end of the film, you feel like you've seen the filmmakers go on a deeply troubling, emotional, and freeing journey. Number 3. I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Famous for his work with films like Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Charlie Kaufman has managed to make probably the most thought-provoking film of the year. It tells the story of a college-age woman going with her new boyfriend to meet his parents. But as they drive to their farm, further questions are raised about their relationship and their life as a whole. That description is very vague, but I wouldn't dare spoil this film. Things unfold in ways I never anticipated, and every swerve I wasn't expecting leads to more insight with the characters we are following. The more time I spend thinking about this film, the more I come away with every time. It provides great commentary on the mundane work life, loveless relationships, self-hatred, and small annoyances that build up to create serious problems the longer they're allowed to fester. The attention to detail here is stellar, with the sets, shot composition, score, costuming, lighting, and reincorporation of elements all making the film thought-provoking and immensely rewatchable. I'm not going to lie, this film might be a little unconventional for some, but it is a powerhouse that has stuck with me. Number 2. Another Round. To be honest, I had never seen any of the films Thomas Vinterberg had directed, but after watching this, I can absolutely understand the praise and accolades surrounding him. Another Round tells the story of 4 middle-aged friends who all work at the same school. One night when they're all dining out, it comes to light how they all find their lives and their own behavior to be somewhat mundane and underwhelming, at least when they're sober. They all take up a challenge to drink alcohol throughout their days at work, all while keeping it a secret from their higher-ups and students. As it turns out, most of them are actually somewhat better at their jobs, and more well-liked when they are intoxicated. But the film also goes into the drawbacks that come from this. The alcohol allows them to express emotions they've held back for years, which leads to some good results and some bad ones. The film has some provocative commentary on emotions and relationships we hold back on, and the misery that comes from monotony. When I think of this film, I just think of sincerity. The performances here are all fantastic. You have amazing actors interacting off each other in a reasonable and well-developed way. Their relationships with their families, their friends, and their students are all very interesting as well. Every scene flows perfectly. Every shot is intuitive. No scene feels like it goes on too long. The humorous scenes are hilarious. The sad scenes are effective. And the more bittersweet moments are some of the ones that will stick with you the longest. Number 1. Hamilton. Oh boy. Here comes the controversial one. How can I possibly pick a stage musical as the best movie of the year? Well, I'm not technically picking the play, I'm picking the Disney Plus recording that was released a few months ago. Okay, I can absolutely understand why someone wouldn't count this as a movie, but it is a series of moving images, so I count it. And on top of that, I would be lying if I said this wasn't the most impactful viewing experience of the year. I know I'm not breaking any new ground here, but Hamilton is wonderful. The songs are memorable, the story is heartfelt, the writing, my god, the writing. I find myself catching new subtle character interactions, jokes, and callbacks every time I watch it. The musical brilliantly reincorporates elements of different scenes and numbers as it goes along, creating unity throughout, adding more depth to previous scenes, and showing how our characters and their priorities have changed, and how sometimes they refuse to change. Every performance here is nothing short of stellar. I remember every single one of these people, and I cannot wait to see more projects they work on. This may be an unconventional choice, but hey, this is an unconventional year. Hamilton is a masterpiece that I feel absolutely privileged to be able to see.